Prepare yourselves for an experience full of magic, folklore, and friendship in Faery, Legends of Avalon. Faery, Legends of Avalon is a fantasy role-playing game developed by Spiders and published by Focus Home Interactive for the Xbox Live Arcade on November 10th, 2010 and on PlayStation Network on January 11th, 2011. It later came out on Steam on June 16, 2014 after that, but we'll get to that part in a bit. This is going to be a tough episode for me to make because it's one of the very few underrated hidden gems that I am passionately furious about. So let's not waste any more time and finally talk about the elephant in the room as we dive into the story.
Long ago, magic pervaded the world and fairies lived among men. They inspired countless tales and myths. 'Twas an age of legends. From the Isle of Avalon, King Oberon reigned over a population as diverse as the dreams of men, and every land whirred with the sound of fairy wings. But men began to doubt the fairy kingdom and, little by little, dismissed it as childish or demonic. Man eventually retreated into a daily routine in which magic had no place. So Oberon decided to remove his people to enclaves on the edges of the human world, and the fairies began no more to them than age-old memories existing only in fairy tales and the works of poets and visionaries. But when the magic left the world, the fairy kingdoms began disappearing one by one, until one day.
The story of Faery, Legends of Avalon, follows you as you awaken from stasis by the fairy king Oberon, who tasks you with saving mythical worlds from destruction as the result of humans no longer believing in them. You'll travel through these worlds and make friends along the way, but something just doesn't feel right. Faery, Legends of Avalon will run you around 6 hours to beat and 11 if you want to get everything possible. This game has a simple story that becomes a whimsical adventure, and it hurts to say this, but spoiler warning from this point on until the next segment. After you save a few of the worlds, the game eventually ends on a cliffhanger where part 2 of this game was supposed to give us the dramatic conclusion with the rest of the worlds ready to explore. Unfortunately, the second part of this game never came to pass due to the game being considered a flop by the company due to mixed reviews and not enough sales. Such a frustrating end to what could have been a fantastic series, but this is the nature of underrated games, and this is one of the reasons why I ended up creating UnderRadar as a way to spread the word about these fantastic games so that we may never have such a tragic tale like this happen again. Regardless, I truly believe this game deserves a playthrough, and with that said, let's jump into the graphics to show you a mythical world of fantasy creatures. The graphics for Faery, Legends of Avalon are pretty low budget, but it's saved by the amazing art style that complements the fantasy mythical creatures of folklore. The worlds you traverse are such a gem that I actually enjoyed exploring them as I did my quests. The design for the monsters, characters, and even you yourself are very pleasing to the eye, especially when it comes to the customization in this game, which we'll get to later. The combination of the art style and graphical style for this game ends with a charming but nostalgic look into a world of fantasy that had me yearning for more. With that said, let's listen in on the music and see how that stacks up. The music for Faery, Legends of Avalon is spot on with its theme of whimsical wonder. Traversing worlds gives you that wizardly world of Harry Potter type feel. And the battle music is very serious, which makes it kind of funny when you're fighting small threats that the music makes it feel like they're more dangerous than they truly are. There wasn't much music going on for this game, but what they give you delivers an immersive experience to accompany the visuals and makes exploring these magical worlds more enjoyable as you progress. Faery, Legends of Avalon is your typical turn-based RPG where you explore and take on quests, but with a few things that set it apart from the rest. One of the most unique things about this game is how the character customization actually impacts your gameplay. When you level up, you'll gain skill points to unlock skills to use to aid you in combat. The interesting part of this is depending on which skills you choose, your character will have significant changes happen to them, such as the type of wings they'll have to even growing horns. Other than that, you also have no MP in this game, and what takes its place is how eventually you'll be able to use more turns to do more actions. But that's really it when it comes to combat. Outside of combat, because you are Faery and you have wings, you can actually fly around the worlds you explore. This gives you an entire 3-dimensional exploration system that lets you enjoy the sights while you also make the game more fun to progress as you increase the speed in which you fly. In the end, while Faery, Legends of Avalon, doesn't have a lot of content due to it being split into 2 parts, I still think this game is enjoyable and worth a play. Faery, Legends of Avalon is such a fantastic storytelling experience and whimsical and magical adventure that I really loved every step of the way. It's so frustrating knowing that we'll never get the second part of this game and that the developers apparently depended on the first part succeeding before making the second part. Are you serious? In my mind, the smart thing to do was to either make a short story or not make a 2-parter that depended on the sales of the first one to make the second one. I'm just so angry because this game has something unique in its story and adventure that maybe some of you will see if you play it, and how incredibly stupid it is that we won't get to finish this fantastic story because of poor judgment and decisions from whoever it was involved. Honestly, it's games and situations like this that UnderRadar was created in the first place. I never want to experience a fantastic game again to realize that we won't ever get that conclusion to its story for some arbitrary reasons. So with that said, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more UnderRadar, and share this video around if you think we need more UnderRadar in this world. Thank you guys again for joining me on this magical episode of UnderRadar, and I'll see you on the next one.